Let's bring on the Mountaineers. Goes around about the 50, the 10 to 5. A touchdown with Virginia. He did it.
He did it. Left with White. Peterson. He's gone. Touchdown. Tavon Austin.
As the hills of West Virginia resound with the sounds of Golden Blue football.
They want to have a 7-on-7 drill. We want to make it a fist fight. Nothing cheap, nothing dirty, but West Virginia football.
From the heart. Streaming. It's Mountaineer pride. Leave no doubt tonight. No doubt. They shouldn't have played the old Golden Blue.
West Virginia is a special place. People of the state that have great pride in this WV logo.
Ain't no stopping the Golden Blue.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
What's going on, Mountaineer Nation? Welcome back to the Country Roads webcast. As always, I'm Jordan Cruz, and here for our first live stream of 2024, believe it or not, February 17th edition. Took us that long into 2024 to get one of these out. I think it's been since right around the bowl game since I've done a live stream here on the channel. It's been crazy start to the year, but I'm going to react to some news that's probably old to you, but new to me, just to show you how far behind that I am. But that's the WVU football schedule. I wanted to get into that a little bit. I haven't even got a chance to really take a good look at it, so I wanted to do that here with you guys, kind of react to that a little bit, react to the fun video that WVU football put out when it was released on social media, and then do some uniform talk, because you guys know that I always love that here throughout the season. That's always a running theme on our Q&A streams, our weekly Q&A streams that run throughout the WVU football season, always talking about uniforms, at least, one little segment of those. And we got some big uniform news. We had talked about previously on those Q&A streams this year, because some of those came after Neil Brown's radio show, and we would talk about the new uniforms that were coming this season, because at least two different times I can think of Neil Brown mentioning that new uniforms were coming for this year. So we knew West Virginia was getting a new uniform set. However, earlier this week, some big news broke in terms of an alternate uniform that West Virginia may unveil for the big season opener against Penn State. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. And then, of course, throughout this whole stream, I encourage you guys that are in here, drop your questions, comments, concerns in the chat. If you're in here live, I'll touch on any of those throughout as well as we go throughout the stream here. Appreciate y'all hopping in here. If you are in here live, hit the thumbs up button, helps a ton. Even if you're watching on the playback, you can do that and still help out. Subscribe here if you're a WVU football fan and you haven't already. Other than that, let's go ahead. Let's get into it a little bit with the WVU football schedule talk. And before I, get into the article and my kind of reaction, I wanted to share the fun video West Virginia put out for the schedule release. This was on social media. I think it's up on their YouTube page as well. But if you guys haven't had a chance to check this out, it's a lot of fun. So it's about 2 minutes long. Going to play this with you guys, and then I'll share the article talking about the WVU football schedule and kind of share my thoughts on WVU slate for the upcoming season. So there we have it. We talked about it a ton on the Q&A streams throughout the season when we would share the game trailers leading up to each week's game, how good of a job the WVU media team has done. And yet again, they knocked it out of the park again with that schedule release video. It was a lot of fun. You got to love the pooper scooper for Pitt and a lot of the other clever ones thrown in there as well. So I had to share that. That was one of my favorite parts of the schedule release. Haven't got a chance to take a good look at the schedule yet, aside from that video, but I enjoyed it so much I wanted to share it here. But let's talk a little bit about that schedule here now. Pull up the article here on WVUsports.com, the official release they had in regards to this from Mike Montoro. 7 home dates, so that's good. Season ticket holders, and if you're not a season ticket holder, would be a great season to start being one. 7 home games, and one of the most anticipated home openers in who knows how long. When you got Penn State coming into Morgantown, it's going to be hopefully a ranked matchup. Penn State's certainly going to be at least top 15. West Virginia should be top 20, top 25 at least. But here was what Mike Montoro had on the release. WVU Department of Intercollegiate Athletics has announced the 2024 WVU football schedule. Then you get the comments from Ren Baker. It's great to have the return of 7 home games to the football schedule and for Penn State to come to Morgantown for the first time since '92. When you add our non-conference games to the Big 12 slate, WVU will once again play a strong, competitive, and challenging football schedule. The schedule includes 7 home dates featuring 5 conference games and non-conference game matchups against Penn State and FCS opponent Albany in the first 2 weeks of the season. Then you get some thoughts from Neil Brown here. Our schedule will be exciting not only for our fans, but the Morgantown community, and having 7 home games for the first time since 2016 provides us the extra home date that we have not been able to enjoy recently. Playing Penn State and Pitt in the same season used to occur every year around here, and I know our fans have appreciated having these 2 rivalries back on the schedule. The season opener marks the first time the Nittany Lions have visited Morgantown since '92, the 3rd longest series in Mountaineer history, where we played for the 61st time. Albany advanced to the FCS semifinals in 2003 and will visit Milan Puskar Stadium for the first time ever playing Albany at WVU. Backyard Brawl returns to Acrisure Stadium for the 2nd time since it was renewed in 2022, and we're going to have better results there this time. It's the 107th meeting in the longest running series in WVU history. The Mountaineers have won 8 of the last 13 games in the series, including 4 of the last 6, and we know what happened last year, getting the 17-6 win. Then it talks a little bit about some of the other matchups. I won't read all the way through this article. I'm sure you guys have seen this already by now, but I just wanted to zone in on some of the matchups myself. Like I said, the season opener against Penn State. I mean, what else can you say about this one? I think that this is probably the most anticipated home opener, season opener for West Virginia since the late 90s, so we're talking 20 plus years, nearly 25 years for West Virginia at least. So it's going to be a huge game. And especially when you're talking about this is going to be probably one of the most anticipated seasons and one of the most anticipated teams for West Virginia fans in quite a few years. Got something finally to write home about last season, and you bring a lot of that back, and hopefully you're bringing in, even more to bolster that. I think they have done that already in the transfer portal, and then they're going to add some more pieces after spring football. Then West Virginia will play Albany on September 7th in Morgantown. Obviously, we know WVU's never lost to an FCS. I expect that streak to continue. And then West Virginia, as we said, traveling to Pitt on September 14th, the Backyard Brawl again. And here's where we're at in the series. Since it started, in 2022, both teams have won their home games. So really, somebody needs to go get somebody on the road now. And hopefully, I think West Virginia is fully capable of doing it. And hopefully, they go in there and beat the Pitt Panthers on the road this year. Then September 21st, you're back home with your conference opener, and it's against Kansas. And, as much as I don't like playing Kansas that early, I do think this gives West Virginia a good chance to redeem themselves from, a couple years ago when we kicked off things with Kansas, thought we were going to be able to beat them. And that's when they really surprised us doing the triple option things they were doing. And we were the first team that fell victim to Jalen Daniels and to Lance Leipold and the way that squad has become now. We were kind of the unveiling of that, unfortunately. So this would give us a good chance to, have some revenge and go back and redeem ourselves for that loss. And I think that'll be a really fun matchup with some offenses that will really try and score some points probably there in Morgantown on the 21st. Then we get our bye week on the 28th, which interestingly enough, one of the fun things I thought in this schedule is seeing that West Virginia gets 2 open weeks actually in this schedule. It's been a while since we've had that. I don't remember the last time. I want to say 2016, 2017, something like that. I think I remember us having it. I don't know if we had it anywhere in between now and then, though. Then after that open week, on October 5th, West Virginia hits the road to take on Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State's probably going to be, one of the favorites in the conference, I'd say. They brought Ollie Gordon back. Alan Bowman's going to get a 100th year of college eligibility or whatever it is now. He's playing forever. It's so crazy to think that West Virginia faced him when they had, Holds as the head coach and Tony Gibson as the defensive coordinator. And still now he's playing for Oklahoma State. And they're going to have a strong squad next year. And, Stillwater's a tough place to play. West Virginia hasn't had success there. So they're due, I guess you could say, at least in that matchup. Then you come back to Morgantown on October 12th, and I like getting Iowa State at home versus having to go to Ames. That's good for the Mountaineers, but this Iowa State team was really good last season, quietly. They had that rough start, lost to the FCS opponent, but after that, they really turned things around, and they have some young stars just like West Virginia does. We know, obviously, Rocco Becht at quarterback, the son of Anthony Becht, former Mountaineer. And then they have a star running back, Ibu Sama, just like West Virginia has, and Jaheim White. He was a freshman that was a stud for them last year, so that should be a fun matchup there on October 12th. But I like West Virginia getting to play it in Morgantown, and especially when you guys didn't face each other last season, it's going to be a bit of a filling out process, more so than some of the other games have been, I guess, because there's a lot of new pieces involved since they've last faced one another. And the same will go for Kansas State, and West Virginia gets to play them in Morgantown on October 19th. It's going to be a different looking Kansas State squad. No more Will Howard. They're breaking in Avery Johnson. He's going to be explosive. You're going to get the dual threat quarterback matchup between Garrett Green and Avery Johnson. And then you obviously got to worry about a strong rushing attack with Kansas State, but West Virginia should have one of those of their own, obviously, with the two-headed monster of Jaheim White and CJ Donaldson. So that should be fun. But then on October 26th, this is when you get the matchup with one of the newcomers. We had the 4 newcomers last season, get some more coming in this year, coming from the West Coast, and we know that. And one of those that West Virginia will have to play is Arizona. And unfortunately, West Virginia will have to travel to Tucson to play this game on October 26th. So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. This was one I was really worried about, I guess you could say a month or two ago, right? Arizona had a really strong year this year. They were, kind of firing on all cylinders, but losing their coach and stuff, we'll see how they bounce back from that. So it might not be as strong of an Arizona squad as we thought it was going to be initially heading into 2024. Post 2023, that's kind of changed a bit. So we'll see how that goes. Then West Virginia gets their second open week there on November 2nd. And this was, another interesting point in the schedule to me because they haven't decided when we're going to play Cincinnati yet. I don't know how long that'll remain undecided. Hopefully it's not too long into the season for, people's scheduling purposes. I know a lot of people have 9-to-5s like, myself that need to work their schedule around that to know what day that is. So hopefully they'll be able to confirm that in the near future. But for now, West Virginia is going to travel to Cincinnati to either play a Thursday night game, a Friday night game, or maybe they'll play on Saturday. It's November 7th, 8th, or 9th on the schedule. And then after that, West Virginia comes back home 2 games in a row. They'll play Baylor and UCF. And then West Virginia will close the season, the regular portion of the regular season portion anyways, at Texas Tech on November 30th. And then hopefully we'll see West Virginia in that Big 12 championship game on December 7th. You never know what could happen. West Virginia certainly has a strong team this year, but that's a look at the 2024 schedule. I wanted to talk about that a little bit since I hadn't had a chance to do so. Want to encourage you guys that are in here live, drop your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns on anything you got there in the chat. I'll address any questions throughout the stream here as well. But other than that, the only thing I really wanted to talk about was some uniform talk. And in regards to that, to kind of transition us into it, how about West Virginia being named best bowl game uniform, ranked number 3 of the bowl game of the bowl season there by Uniform Authority. Those Country Roads home uniforms sure were clean. And I'm honestly expecting, as we talk about West Virginia getting new uniforms for this upcoming season, pardon me one second, I'm going to take a swig of my coffee. There we go. But as we talk about West Virginia getting these new uniform sets for the upcoming season, I think that the past 2 years, Nike realizes, and West Virginia's, athletic organization, the football staff and everyone involved, Ren Baker, realized that the Country Roads uniforms were a big hit, both the away uniforms and the home uniforms last season that we wore yet again in the bowl game. So I think that our new uniform set will factor this in some way. I don't know if it'll be, having Mountaineers on it. I don't know if it'll kind of look similar to this with, us having pant stripes. I do think that we're going to start to see the logo that was used on these, the state silhouette with the flying WV inside. I think we'll see that incorporated into the new uniform somehow. But I would not be surprised to see our new uniform set be something similar to the Country Roads uniforms, but maybe they put numbers on the shoulders and the sleeves, switch it up a little bit, do something different. But I wouldn't be surprised. Just my personal speculations, but we'll see how they turn out. But in regards to speculating on uniforms, I think one of the biggest things that came out in this past week in regards to that was news breaking that West Virginia may potentially be breaking out some special alternate uniforms for their game against Penn State. And that was broken by Mike Kazaza on their podcast. I'll play the little clip for you guys in which he kind of breaks this news that could potentially be happening for West Virginia's season opener against Penn State.
People reached out to me and told me some things. Yeah, new uniforms coming. And people have told me this over and over. 2024 season. Evidently, this will be announced spring game. So kind of like what they did Brown's first year, which you said, maybe they'll do that. That does seem to be their plan. Now, what is that going to look like? No idea. I think the grays might be gone. That's the plan. Bigger one, Chris. Are you ready for this?
Ready as I can be.
On February 13, 2024, the plan, at least in this infant stage, play host to Penn State, which hit West Virginia with the whiteout last year. Play host to Penn State in all black uniforms. No gold, no blue. White trim, white letters, white numbers. Everything else black. Now, will that be part of the new uniform package? I don't know. Could that change? Perhaps. But what has come out of some conversation that I've had with people is that, yep, new set of uniforms coming in 2024. Plan is to use the spring game as, I don't know, the catwalk, let's say. But the bigger deal, and it may not be announced until later, if it does make it out of the fashion show, black uniforms. Your thoughts?
Well, so there you have it. That's kind of been the shot heard around the West Virginia world this past week. We knew the new uniform sets were coming in 2024. Like I said, we talked about that on our Q&A streams throughout the season, throughout the 2023 season, which we'll do those weekly yet again once fall comes around. And of course, we'll do them once spring football starts again as well, which we have the start dates on that. I did a video of it up on the channel. If you haven't checked that out yet, do that. Spring game coming April 27th. So that's when our full uniform set will be unveiled, the new uniforms they'll be wearing for the 2024 season. So that's not really, the big news. The big news, I think, is obviously the black uniforms. How long has everyone been, on social media clamoring for? I think it was the 2018 season when West Virginia was riding high. Everyone was clamoring for a coal rush that year. There was a big petition going around. I remember a ton of social media posts about it. And I know that Steven and I had even talked about it on the channel here in the past, and Brad as well. But I remember Steven having the idea of, doing a coal rush and then coming out with minor helmets, turning all the lights off in the stadium, and then coming out with the lights in the minor helmets that I always thought was really cool. Steven had talked about that in the past. So it's definitely been a long talked about topic throughout Mountaineer Nation, having black uniforms, doing a coal rush. Now, it doesn't sound like they're going to be solid black, so it may not be, dubbed a coal rush. I think if we're going to do a blackout, they have to dub it a coal rush. Why would they not? Personally, that's just personal speculation on my end. But from, Mike's description there, the only thing that I think might shy some people away from this is no blue or gold on the uniforms. Now, I'm cool with doing, black helmets, black pants, black jersey, but why not, have gold trim on the numbers? You could even do all the numbers in all black and just have the gold trim. That I think would look really good. Or you could even do blue numbers with gold trim, throw a little bit of blue or gold on there for the fans, in my opinion. But hey, once we see them, with the black and all white, that it might look good black with the white numbers and, white trim. We'll have to see them and like they say, seeing is believing, I guess, right? But personally, you guys know me, I'm a big uniform guy, so I cannot wait to see them unveiled at the spring game. I'm planning to be in attendance, so I'll probably do my post-game show, from my phone and stuff. But if I get a chance to, I'll try and, shoot some pictures of the uniforms, if they're there unveiling them, maybe even do a little video post here on the channel or something like that. So that's pretty much all I got for this one. I know WVU Hoops is about to tip off here shortly, so I'll let you guys check that out. But I wanted to get a live stream in because I hadn't done that yet in 2024 for one, and also hadn't got a chance to really look at the WVU football schedule or talk about it. So I wanted to do that. And obviously, these black uniforms are a huge topic right now, and it's something that I'm super excited about and I think could look really great. I mean, look at this black West Virginia sweatshirt. I wore it, since I knew I was going to be talking about the black uniforms. But it's blue with the white outline. I mean, I think that would look good on the jerseys as well if you had the numbers blue with the white outline like it looks on this sweatshirt. I don't know. But if it's still, black with all white, I think it still could look good. But let me know your all thoughts. If you didn't get a chance to tune into this live, throw them in the comments on anything we've talked about. Appreciate those interactions. Whether you watch this live or if you're tuning in on a playback, hitting the thumbs up button helps a ton with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're a WVU fan and you haven't already, be sure to subscribe here. Helps us, helps you, helps get more of this Mountaineer sports content out to Mountaineer Nation. Having said that, until next time, I'm Jordan Cruz. And as always, let's go Mountaineers.